Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your guy Rudy SKC, and welcome to a brand new video. The Lions fall 45-31 to the Commanders in the divisional round of the playoffs, and their season is officially over. I'm flabbergasted. I'm embarrassed. I'm about every single other hyperbolic expression that you could think of right now would describe the exact state I'm in. From start to finish, guys, this was probably the most nightmare performance that you could expect out of this team coming out of a bye. From start to finish. From the first whistle to the last. And it wasn't one phase of the game that lost us the game. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching, mental errors, the quarterback position, everything that can go wrong in a game went wrong for the Lions. And you see, this is why the NFL is so great. You have such a great season, and all it comes down to is one game. All it comes down to is how you're prepared going into a single game. And if you don't show up like the Lions did it today, you're not going to win. You're not going to be able to win the game. And when you talk Super Bowl, you talk NFC Championship because you've been there before. The NFL is not linear. Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL is not a linear sport. What the Lions have done the last few years is not normal. And today you see why it's not normal. Last year, when the Lions lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship, the reaction to the game, we were sickened. We were completely sickened. But there was one takeaway. The one takeaway was that the Lions won the North. They had a successful season. We won playoff games for the first time ever. This season, you can't say the same thing. You cannot say the same thing this year. You don't get to say the same thing. Not when you're the number one seed in the NFC. Not when you have all the benefits. Not when you have the refs making calls in your favor, which we've never seen for the Lions before. They extend a drive on a phantom face mask. We've never seen the refs help the Lions. Not when you have all those things going for you and you come out flat in a game like this, you don't take the other team seriously. When you do all those things, it's not we're the Lions, we haven't won playoff games, we haven't had this kind of success in 60 years. This is a step in the right direction. This is not a step in the right direction. This is failure. This is what failure feels like. And regardless, we said coming into the year, this year is Super Bowl or bust. It was Super Bowl or bust. And now you busted. You're out in the divisional round. And you didn't just go out. You went out in an embarrassing fashion. That was an embarrassing performance. And you have to give credit to Washington, by the way. I don't want to make this video all doom and gloom about the Lions. We'll get into more, but absolutely amazing performance from Washington. You have to credit Dan Quinn. He looked like a coach that's taken a team to the Super Bowl before. The way he was aggressive from start to finish. Cliff Kingsbury called a heck of a game. Lions defense got 2 stops on Washington's offense. 2 stops. Really only 2 stops. And one of them was a real stop. The other one was that they were driving down the field and you stopped them on 4th down, not because you were in position, but because Brian Robinson was on the wrong side of Marcus Mariota on the pitch to Jaden Daniels. That's why you got the ball back in the first place. So Washington, they had a game plan. They came in, they executed, and I'll tell you guys something right now, Commanders fans. Jaden Daniels is special, man. He is a rookie quarterback coming in and doing this. When's the last time we have ever seen this in the history of football? I want you guys to think back. The last time we even had a rookie quarterback come in and, put up the regular season stats that Jaden Daniels did was probably Justin Herbert. But now for him to come in, win 2 postseason games in 2 hostile environments, and we saw Ford Field today. It was rocking. The fans were out there. They were out to support the team. They were doing everything that they could. And Washington still comes out. And Jaden Daniels, cool as a cucumber. You have to credit him for it. Tom Brady said this on the broadcast. His heartbeat had to be at like 30. It had to be beating at 30 beats a minute. The guy is unbelievable. He's absolutely unbelievable. And whenever the Lions sent the blitz, you could see almost every single time, whenever the Lions had the blitz, the Commanders had a counter. Whenever you could tell Jaden Daniels pre-snap, he was actually reading the defense. He could tell when the Lions looked like, you could see that they were blitzing from one direction. Jaden Daniels, he flipped the play one time. And he got Brian Robinson for a 5-6 yard gain the other way on the opposite side of where Brian Branch was blitzing. So out and out, he did an absolutely fantastic. He's not a regular rookie, guys. He's not a regular rookie. And all I can say is for the NFC, this guy's going to be a problem for years to come. This guy's going to be a problem for years to come because the year that he's having so far, this isn't even CJ Stroud from last year. This is something beyond that. This is remarkable. This is something that you've never seen in NFL history. And he's doing this against really good football teams. Really good football teams. The Lions came into this game having lost 2 games on the season. One of the most explosive offenses in the league. And he not only outperformed Goff, he out-executed him when he needed to. You came into this game thinking Jaden Daniels is the guy who's going to make mistakes. You came into this game thinking Jaden Daniels, his inexperience, that might be why Washington, even if it is a close game, the Lions are going to be able to pull through because they're a more experienced team than Washington. They were in the playoffs last year. We know the type of experience Goff's had. He's led a team to the Super Bowl. But it was Jaden Daniels who didn't make those mistakes that Goff made today. And that's why the Lions lost this game. And that's why the Commanders now have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. They have a chance to go to the big game. And I'll tell you this, man, when the playoffs come, the stakes are their highest. Win total predictions mean absolutely nothing. I'll tell you this, we've known this from the start. All week I heard Lions fans on Twitter, on Instagram, on everywhere, on TV, even broadcast saying, Lions are going to win this in a blowout. And I never agreed with that take. Now, did I think the opposite was going to happen, that Washington was going to come out and basically blow the Lions out, being up 17 points at one point in the fourth quarter? Did I think that was going to happen? No, absolutely not. But you're not going to, in the NFL, the National Football League, you cannot come into playoff games expecting to blow your opponent out today. And I don't know if that's what the Lions did. I don't know the messaging. And we for as much as we talk about how Dan Campbell has done a great job since he's been here, being able to get his guys ready to go, today was not it. There were too many mental errors. The scheming, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn both got outcoached. Both. They both did. Too many mental errors. Whether it was on a kickoff return, getting false starts on offense, the decision-making on offense, Ben Johnson, I have no idea why he decided to run so many trick plays. You could see early in the first half what we had talked about all week. It was wide open. The run game. Gibbs was gashing the Commanders' defense. And guess what the Lions did? They tried to get cute. When you had a chance to go up 14-3, you try to get cute on third down. And I'm not going to say and criticize that's where you lost the game because, the Lions have had success playing the brand of football that they've played all year. But when you have an ace in your sleeve and you make mental errors like that, that's just unacceptable. Ben Johnson, he doesn't know Jared Goff's going to fumble on that play. But to even think to say that, hey, we're running the ball really well. This is something that I've actually gotten on the Lions for doing the opposite the entire year. Sometimes their overcommitment to establishing the run costs them early leads in games. But you know what happened today? Their decommitment from the run, which was working from snap one, that's what cost this offense. That's what cost this offense. And I'm not going to take any blame off Jared Goff either. This is probably, even the Houston game, this is the worst game Jared Goff has played since his first year here at quarterback for the Lions. This is his worst game by far. Since that first year. Since you started off the year 0-10-1. This is his worst game since 2021. And to me, for Goff, what we're going to think going forward for Goff, if we have to evaluate this from an objective perspective, right? Now, if we're being level-headed, do we know that Goff is the guy who can take us and go all the way? I'll be honest, guys, we don't know this. We don't know this. The fact that Detroit, The fact that Detroit has not seen playoff success in so long has all the fans thinking that if you have a guy who can win you a division, who can get you deep into the playoffs, he's a guy who can go out and win the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying Jared Goff isn't that guy, but I'm just saying that we as a city, as a fan base, have to acknowledge that he may not be. You still don't know if Jared Goff is Alex Smith or he's Patrick Mahomes. You don't know whether he's the guy who can take you to division titles, who can take you on deep playoff runs, or if he's the guy that can go over all of that and get the job done. And I believe in Jared Goff. I think he can be that guy. But you shouldn't, if he's not the guy, this should not come as a complete shock. You've put expectations on something that you don't understand. And that's what we've done as a fan base. And you have to reevaluate that a little bit. Because now this is 2 playoff series where Jared Goff has come short. We applied the same criticism to Josh Allen, right? We applied the same criticism to Lamar Jackson, right? Just because we as a fan base have not seen a level of success does not imply that we cannot apply the same rational thinking that all other 31 teams in the NFL and their fan bases employ when evaluating the quarterback position. And that's just a matter of fact. That's just a matter of fact. That's how football works. Welcome to the NFL. As a quarterback, if your team is this good and you can't take your team to the Super Bowl, that's how you're evaluated in this league. Phillip Rivers, when you're mentioning the GOATs of the 2000s and early 2010s, Phillip Rivers' name barely comes up when you're talking about Brady, Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, Roethlisberger. Why is that? Because he was never able to take his team to the Super Bowl for as great of a quarterback he was. So, as a fan base, when we're moving into the offseason, guys, this is something we need to understand and consider. Now, I'm saying, like I mentioned, I have faith in Goff. I think Goff can be the guy that can get you over the top. We've seen how he's responded to adversity in game situations where he's down. And today wasn't it, I agree. But I still think he can be that guy moving forward. I do. But as a fan base, we really need to stop living with the expectation that Jared Goff is 100% going to be that guy. Because if we do that, that's a mirage. That's not how football works. For as much as we talked about with how together this team was this entire year, none of it matters. Because in the playoffs, when it's a one and done situation, how do you respond? The Lions didn't today. They didn't. The Commanders, they out-efforted us, they out-coached us, they outplayed us. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. There's nothing, you can't blame the refs in the slightest. The refs helped you. The refs helped you. When have the refs ever helped the Lions? That's never happened. It's never happened. So to me, this is 100% on the Lions, and I don't know what they're going to do going forward in regards to this. I don't. I tweeted this out earlier in the game, right? I tweeted this out, I think in the first quarter, after the first interception. The offense has to respond here. Lions won't get blown out. Surprised they did. But they can lose this game if they turn the ball over and don't stop the run. Now, yes, you might say this is a general rule in thumb for offenses in the NFL and for teams in general. But more than that, this goes towards the Lions' identity as a football team. On defense, what is your identity? Our identity is stop the run. And they didn't do that today. The Commanders were gashing you. They were straight gashing you. Jaden Daniels, the threat of Jaden Daniels as a runner, it's not like there were so many times where he got out today. No, it was Austin Eckler, it was Brian Robinson having explosive runs. And that's just unacceptable for a team that's been so good at stopping the run for so long. And, the excuses you can say, you have 18 players on IR, you have so many injuries on defense. It doesn't matter. Because guess what? 30 years from now, when you look back at the 2024 Lions, it's going to be marked as failed season, embarrassed as number 1 seed. Not with an asterisk saying that this team was decimated with injuries. That's not how you're remembered. So to me, when you do things that are uncharacteristic for your football team, like not stopping the run and 5 turnovers on offense, 5, and 3 of them resulted in points. when you do things that are uncharacteristic for your football team, that go against your identity. And we're not even going to talk about the undiscipline on defense. I mean, the lack of tackling in this game. It was arm tackling. You saw so many times when on the secondary, you missed Amik Robertson. Great, fantastic tackler from the secondary. But how about on the Terry McLaurin touchdown? That was a very poor attempt by Ife Melifonwu and Kirby Joseph on that angle to take down Terry McLaurin. Very, very poor attempt. And then you look, Terry and Arnold, there were 2 plays on one of the drives that Washington scored a touchdown that really pissed me off. It was the first and 10. Dan Campbell, just 5 minutes ago, he'd come out, and the reporter said the one thing he said is, we have to tackle. First down and 10. Or second down and 10, I think. He has a clear shot at Austin Eckler, and he misses a tackle, and Eckler makes it a 3rd and manageable. And then on the same sequence, fourth down, he has contain on the outside. And he bites. He falls for the eye candy. And Jaden Daniels rolls out for a first down. Those type of mental errors are uncharacteristic of the Lions. Something that you haven't seen them do all year. And to me, that's where you lose the game. When you're uncharacteristic and you go against your identity. What's gotten you here. When you go against all those things, you have no chance of winning the football game, even to start off with. I have a couple other notes here. Oh, yeah, this is a big one. As a fan base, we need to understand something. It's that the phrase defense wins championships. The phrase defense wins championships. It's 150% accurate. It's 150% accurate, and you've seen it. The best offenses in the NFL, very difficult for you to just win, go through an entire playoff stretch, win the Super Bowl with an all-time offense. Very difficult to happen. You saw what happened to the greatest show on turf when they went up against the New England Patriots defense in 2000. You saw what happened to the New England Patriots, maybe the greatest offense in the history of football, when they go up against the New York Giants in the 2007 Super Bowl. You saw what happened when they got pressure on Brady. They scored 14 points. There's a statement in the NFL that you can never have too many pass rushers, and that's true too. The Giants did it to the Patriots. And then even recently, you saw 2013, the Broncos versus the Seahawks. You saw it there too. I mean, it's very difficult to go through an entire playoff stretch with just being a dominant offense. If you're not good on defense, you're not going to win. And to me, the Lions and Aaron Glenn, they had a strategy to start off with. If you notice, they were playing a lot of zone looks to start the game. And in my opinion, that was very effective until Amik went out. And when Amik went out, they switched back to a man. They switched back to man defense, and they stuck with that the rest of the game. And that's when they started getting gashed. So, in my opinion, yes, you have this many injuries on defense. Yes, that's 100% true. But from a holistic perspective, if your defense is not playing up to standard, you're not winning a Super Bowl. And that's clear as day. That's clear as day what happened here. Just is. So for the Lions going forward, this loss to me, it comes down on everyone. From Dan Campbell to Ben Johnson to Aaron Glenn to Dave Phipp to Jared Goff. Comes down on everyone. And I think, where do you go from here? Because yes, most likely Ben Johnson is taking a job somewhere else. Most likely Aaron Glenn is taking a job somewhere else. Yeah, these performances were terrible, right? By both of them. But this doesn't mean that, they're not gonna be gone as head coaches. Unless they 100% feel some type of way on how the season ended, and they have some kind of allegiance or loyalty to the Lions to come back and get it done, they're not coming back, guys. And you've seen this with the Eagles. You saw it with the Eagles. They had Shane Steichen. They had I'm forgetting whatever the Cardinals head coach is right now as their defensive coordinator. Jonathan Gannon. They had both of those guys as coordinators, and the year that they left, they take a massive step back. And you have to hope that doesn't happen to Detroit. So to me, that's the first thing that's got to be addressed. How do you prevent the coordinator wave How do you prevent the coordinator wave from hitting you? Because this happens to teams, and it happens to the best teams in the NFL. And the good ones know how to bounce back, and you're yet to see whether Detroit can do that. And in terms of the offseason emphasis, everyone says, yes, you have to focus on strengthening up the defense, the defensive line. You got to get someone across Hutch. What happened after Hutch went down, the lack of pressure you were generating, you knew it was going to be a problem. From like 2 games, I'm pretty sure after 2 games he went down, you were only getting pressure from blitzes. So you have to get other talented guys across Hutch in the offseason, in my opinion. And you're a team where, yes, you can mortgage the future a little bit to get people in trades. You have to be aggressive in that sense. You have to be aggressive in the draft even, as Brad Holmes. But everyone's talking about the defensive line. You also have to address the offensive line. Guys, the NFL, it's a cyclical business. It's a cyclical business. The Lions, when Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, when they came over, the only strength that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn had left with the team was the offensive line. Everything else was built by Brad Holmes, by Ray Agnew, by our management staff, by Dan Campbell. Everything else was built. But now you're seeing some of the guys. Taylor Decker isn't the same player he was before. Frank Ragnow, he's a bionic man. But you've seen even at times this year there was slippage. And Graham Glasgow at times this year, he was an absolute liability in pass protection. And Zeitler, it's not like Zeitler's any young either. He was playing at an all-pro level this year, but you got him off of, at age 34. The main guy you have on your team right now who's locked up and ready to go in the long run is Sewell. And you know what? Mahogany, even today, Mahogany looked good. He played a good game. I don't know when PFF comes out. He played a good game. Most of the pressure, if you saw, was coming from the left side of the formation. So the Lions, that's a big, big hole they need to address, because otherwise you cannot play to the identity that Dan Campbell wants to play with. The first thing you have to do is dominate the lines. And the reason that the Lions lost today is because they went against their identity. They were unprepared. They were out-coached and out-executed. And that's the reason that they will not be playing in the Super Bowl in the 2024-2025 season. And as much as it pains me to say this, guys, the only thing we can look forward to now is next year. That's about it. Regardless of who wins the Super Bowl, it's going to be painful for us. We have to endure for another 7 months. Constant humiliation. Nick Wright coming on national TV and claiming that he's been right about the Lions. You have to eat it now. You have to. And how you go from here as an organization, you have to start back at brick one. Tom Brady said it on the broadcast every year, the end of every year. You have to go again. Nothing in this league is given. And as a fan base, we found that out the hard way today. And what a terrible day for Detroit sports. I'll have a recap for the Pistons out later. All 3 teams lost. Probably one of the worst sports weekends for me in history. But for the Lions, just unacceptable performance. This is going to take this isn't a one-day thing that you're just going to get over with, man. This is going to take a few weeks. This is going to sting. This is a stinger. And Dan Campbell said it last year, man. You don't know if you're even going to ever get back to here. You never got it. You can never take it for granted as Lions fans. We can't. So this is going to sting. You have to eat it. Someone not from Detroit is going to be crowned the Super Bowl champion this year. And that's a fact. And we have to wait 1 more year. So, Lions fans, like I mentioned, this is about to be rough. This is going to be a rough few months for us. Because before we could look forward to the team, they're on the come up. They have places to grow. You guys just went, 15-2? You went 15-2. It's very difficult to be able to have that kind of repeated success next year. So what do you look forward to? That's the big question that all Lions fans need to answer. I'll be back with some kind of, post-week therapy session post-therapy session, maybe in a week or 2 after we've all digested this loss. But until then, guys, unfortunately, I'll see you later, guys. Peace.